I remember a trader once, bright, confident, full of energy, who walked onto the floor certain he'd finally cracked the code. He had charts, theories, and conviction. But within 6 months, his account was dust. Why? Not because he didn't understand the market, but because he didn't understand himself. That story isn't unique. I've lived it. I've lost fortunes the same way, because in trading the enemy isn't the market. The enemy is staring back at you in the mirror. The market doesn't even know your name. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor, careful or reckless. But your mind, your impulses, your greed and fear, those can bury you before the opening bell. That's why I made rules. Not glamorous theories. Not dreams of millions. Rules written in my own blood and losses. And if you want to survive, if you want to win, you'd better listen carefully. Because every lesson I give you today cost me more than money. It cost me years, nights of despair, and scars no chart could ever show. Rule 1. The market is never wrong. You are. I learned this young. I shorted a stock because I thought it had to fall. The volume was strong, the price unstoppable, but I believed I was smarter. The tape didn't care. That stock kept climbing until my capital was gone. That day I carved the truth into my bones. Never argue with the market. The tape doesn't lie. Your opinion does. It's not about bull side or bear side. There's only one side, the right side. And the right side is whatever the market says it is. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you stop gambling and start operating. Rule 2. Trade what you see, not what you hope. I once sat through a week of a stock drifting sideways. Boring, lifeless, forgotten. But I kept watching. Then, in one moment, volume spiked. The price broke resistance like glass. That was my green light. I acted. Not on hope, but on confirmation. That single trade paid for months of patience. Most traders lose because they want action. They think trading is about motion. It's not. It's about waiting. Waiting for the right moment, and then striking with precision. Hope is not a strategy. Confirmation is. Rule 3. Don't gamble with size. I never went all in. Only fools do. Position size isn't just risk management, it's strategy. When I entered, I started small. If the market confirmed my direction, I added. If not, I cut the loss. That's not gambling, that's testing the waters. Think about it. Would you ever build a house without checking if the ground can hold it? Then why would you throw your whole fortune on a trade that hasn't proven itself? Let the market pay you to increase your risk. Add to winners, cut losers. Never reverse it. I've seen too many men blow up because they married a losing trade, doubling down as if pride could move price. Pride never moves price. Momentum does. Rule 4. Sitting tight makes the fortune. The hardest lesson? Doing nothing. Traders crave activity, but I made my biggest profits by sitting on positions while everyone else panicked, scalped, or second-guessed. I didn't get rich from constant buying and selling. I got rich from holding when the trend was right and cutting when it wasn't. As I said once and I'll say again, it was never my thinking that made the big money. It was my sitting. There was a man I knew, sharp mind, quick tongue. He could explain 100 reasons why a stock should rise, why his analysis was flawless. But when the tape disagreed, he refused to listen. He believed his logic mattered more than the market. That man ended up broke, selling his watch to cover debts. The market punishes arrogance. That's why I stopped listening to opinions, mine or anyone else's. Newspapers, brokers, even friends, they all think they know. But the tape is the only voice that counts. It doesn't whisper. It doesn't flatter. It just prints truth, line by line, bar by bar. Rule 5. Never outsource your brain. I remember once, a respected man handed me inside information. It sounded airtight. Instead of following my own system, I listened. And because of that, I held when I should have sold. I hesitated when I should have acted. I lost badly. That day I swore, never again. The market doesn't reward who sounds smartest. It rewards who acts with discipline. Rule 6. Protect capital first, profits second. Profits matter only if you're still alive to take them. I've watched traders hit incredible runs, only to give it all back in a single reckless move. They forgot the first law: survival. If you lose your capital, you lose your seat at the table. And the market doesn't hand out second chances cheaply. Once, in 1907, I made a fortune during a panic, not because I predicted the exact top or bottom, but because I knew when to get out. I sold while others clung to hope. They called me cautious. I called it survival. Weeks later, most of them were ruined. Rule 7. Don't marry trades. Every loser I ever knew made the same mistake. They fell in love with positions. They said things like, "It'll come back," or, "just a little longer." That kind of thinking is poison. I never held out of hope. If the tape turned, I turned with it. A trade isn't your friend. It's an opportunity. Temporary, fragile, fleeting. A good operator treats every position like a soldier on the battlefield. If it's wounded and slowing the line, you pull it out. If it's strong and charging, you reinforce it. But you never sit there praying it'll heal itself. Rule 8. Discipline beats brilliance. I've met men smarter than me, better educated, quicker with numbers. But they lost because they couldn't master themselves. They let fear make them cut winners too soon. They let greed push them to hold losers too long. They wanted excitement more than consistency. Trading isn't about IQ. It's about EQ, emotional control. You can have the best system in the world, but if you can't follow it, you'll sabotage yourself. That's why I kept journals, tracked my mistakes, studied not just the market but my own reactions. Because the real opponent isn't the chart, it's the man reading it. Let me tell you, when you conquer yourself, you conquer the market. One evening, after a brutal loss, I sat alone staring at my blotter. The numbers blurred, my mind replaying every tick, every hesitation. I realized the loss wasn't from the market. It was from me breaking my own rules. Pride had whispered, "Hold just a little longer." Fear had hissed, "What if you miss the rebound?" And I listened. That was the night I understood. Discipline is the difference between a temporary setback and total ruin. Rule 9. Losses are tuition. Pay them once, not twice. Every dollar I ever lost carried a lesson. But only if I was willing to face it. Too many traders make the same mistake again and again, protecting their ego instead of their account. They excuse a loss, blame the market, or worse, double down to prove themselves right. That's not learning. That's suicide. I treated losses like tuition. I wrote them down, studied them, dissected them. If I lost because I ignored my stop, I burned that lesson into memory. If I lost because I chased a tip, I carved that mistake into my rules. The only sin in trading is repeating the same error twice. Rule 10. Patience pays more than talent. The real money never came from constant action. It came from waiting. I built fortunes by sitting tight when the trend was right. Doing nothing sounds easy, but it's the hardest skill a trader can learn. Everyone wants to feel busy. They want to feel in control. But in trading, patience is control. There were times when I sat on a winning position for months, ignoring noise, ignoring temptations to lock in a small profit. Meanwhile, others scalped pennies and lost dollars. They mocked my stillness, but when the trend unfolded, I was the one left standing on the mountain while they were scrambling in the mud. Rule 11. Don't chase perfection, chase consistency. Amateurs search for magic setups, the perfect trade, the secret indicator. That obsession destroys them. Pros don't need perfection, they need repeatability. A good system doesn't win every time. It wins enough times with discipline to keep you in the game and growing. I didn't get rich by being right all the time. I got rich by being consistent, by following rules that protected me when I was wrong and let me expand when I was right. Rule 12. Never forget, it's not about action, it's about execution. Most people think trading is about movement, buying, selling, reacting to every wiggle. But it's not. It's about execution. The difference between an amateur and an operator is that the amateur acts from impulse, while the operator acts from confirmation. I'd often sit and watch for days before making a move. Hours of silence, waiting for the tape to show its hand. Then, in a single moment, the signal appeared. And when it did, I struck, hard, fast, without hesitation. Execution over action. Precision over noise. I once watched a trader make a fortune in the morning, and lose it all before the closing bell. He couldn't sit still. He thought the market owed him a second win, maybe a third. But the market doesn't owe you anything. It pays once, and then it tests if you're disciplined enough to keep it. He wasn't. By the end of the week, his account was gone. Rule 13. You don't get paid for action, you get paid for patience. I can't count how many times I made more by not trading than by trading. Doing nothing is a position. It takes courage to sit while others rush, to wait while the crowd scrambles. But remember this, money flows to patience. If the setup isn't there, you don't trade. Not tomorrow, not next week. You sit. And when the signal comes, you act with conviction. Rule 14. Exits matter more than entries. Anybody can enter a trade. That's the easy part. But how you exit, that's where the real battle is won or lost. I didn't need to catch the exact top or bottom. I needed to protect my profits. I needed to preserve my capital. The man who exits with discipline survives. The man who exits with hope disappears. I once sold out of a position, while everyone screamed it had more room to run. They called me cowardly. But when the momentum cracked, they were the ones left holding wreckage. I slept that night. They didn't. Rule 15. Your opinion doesn't move the market. There was a time when I thought logic mattered. That if I had a sound argument, the market would eventually see it. I was wrong. The market isn't a courtroom. It doesn't care about your reasoning, your predictions, or your feelings. It moves on money, momentum, and psychology. The sooner you stop trying to prove yourself right, the sooner you stop losing. Your opinion can't move price. Only your money can. And if your money's on the wrong side, the market will teach you the lesson faster than you're ready to learn. Rule 16. Add only to winners. I never averaged down. Not once. That's a gambler's trick, a desperate man's hope. If a trade moved against me, I cut it. If it moved in my favor, I built into it, brick by brick. The market paid me to increase my exposure, not my ego. Picture this. I plan to buy 3,000 shares. I don't throw it all in. I start with 1,000. If the stock confirms strength, I add another 1,000. If it continues, I finish the position. That way I build risk on proof, not on prediction. The crowd does the opposite. They add to losers, hoping to lower their average. All they lower is their chance of survival. Rule 17. Every trade is temporary. I never married a stock, a sector, or a theory. Everything is temporary. Momentum shifts, money flows, sentiment flips. Your loyalty should be to your capital, not to a ticker symbol. The moment you forget that, the market will remind you, harshly. There was a young trader I mentored once. He had fire in his eyes, the kind I used to see in the mirror. He wanted to prove himself, to show he could beat the market. But he confused movement with progress. He traded every tick, every swing, until exhaustion drained him. His account didn't die from one big loss. It bled out from 1,000 small cuts. Rule 18. Overtrading is the silent killer. The market doesn't reward how busy you are. It rewards how precise you are. If you're chasing every move, you're not a trader. You're the market's entertainment. Overtrading is like playing a fiddle while your ship sinks. You feel active, but you're sinking all the same. Patience isn't laziness. Patience is strategy. You wait until the tape confirms, then you strike. That's the difference between gambling and operating. Rule 19. Control your emotions or they will control you. Fear, greed, ego, these are the assassins of every great trader. I've chased trades because I felt left out. I've hesitated because I was afraid of losing. Both cost me dearly. Emotions will whisper lies in your ear. They'll tell you, just one more when you're finished. Just hold a little longer when you should exit. I had to build rituals, hard stops, written plans, rules carved in stone, because without them, my emotions would burn me alive. A man who can't control himself has no business trying to control capital. Rule 20. Respect risk like it's a loaded gun. Every trade is dangerous. Every setup can fail. The man who forgets that is the man the market destroys. I never risked more than I could afford to lose, never threw my fortune into a single roll of the dice. I treated risk as the cost of doing business, but I never forgot it was lethal. Think of risk management as the armor that lets you step into battle. Without it, you're naked. And naked men don't last long on Wall Street. Rule 21. Let the chart talk louder than the crowd. In my early years, I'd stand in a room full of shouting traders, each one convinced he was right. The noise was deafening. If I listened to them, I lost. If I listened to the tape, I won. The chart is the truth. It doesn't lie. It doesn't care about opinions. Learn to quiet the noise, and you'll see what others miss. Rule 22. The biggest profits come when you do nothing. This is the paradox most never accept. I made my fortunes not by constant action, but by sitting on the right trade while the market did the work. That's not laziness, that's mastery. You're not supposed to control the market. You're supposed to align with it and hold when the trend is in your favor. The amateurs cut their winners early, chasing new setups. I sat still, letting compounding do the heavy lifting. My money grew because I gave it time to grow. That's the secret most will never learn. Sometimes the best move you'll ever make is no move at all. I remember one particular autumn day when I was young. The tape was slow, the market felt heavy. Everyone was impatient, itching for action. They forced trades, they chased shadows. I sat there waiting. By noon, a sudden break came. The tape screamed lower, and I was ready. I entered, held my nerve, and rode the collapse. One trade in a dull day made me more money than all the frantic traders combined. Rule 23. Opportunity comes dressed in silence. The market often whispers before it roars. If you're too busy scratching for crumbs, you'll miss the feast. Rule 24. Don't fight the tide. I've seen men try to outweat trends, shorting in roaring bull markets or buying against panics. It always ends the same way, exhaustion and ruin. The market is bigger than you, stronger than you, older than you. Align with its direction, or prepare to drown. The cleverest man in the room is often the poorest trader, because he believes intelligence can bend the tide. But the market doesn't care about intellect. It cares about discipline. Rule 25. A trader's real capital is not money, it's mindset. You can lose your account and rebuild. I did, more than once. But if you lose your mindset, your patience, your discipline, your clarity, you're finished. The market preys on broken minds. It feeds on frustration, fear, and pride. That's why I say, guard your mind like a fortress. You must feed it discipline, starve it of ego, and protect it from despair. Rule 26. Learn to take small losses fast. The great danger isn't losing, it's refusing to lose. When a trade goes wrong, you must cut it swiftly. The longer you wait, the heavier the anchor becomes. I've seen fortunes destroyed not by wrong entries, but by stubborn refusal to exit. I survived because I learned to step aside quickly, without shame. Losses are tuition. Pay them and move on. Rule 27. The best trades often feel uncomfortable. When a setup feels too easy, too obvious, it usually isn't worth much. But when a trade feels hard, when doubt creeps in and fear gnaws at you, that's often the one that pays. Why? Because the market punishes the crowd, and the crowd always chooses comfort. I made my largest fortunes entering when others were panicking, or holding when others were bailing. Discomfort was my compass. Rule 28. Discipline is freedom. Most traders think discipline is chains. They want freedom to do whatever they feel like. But real freedom, the kind that leads to profits, comes from strict rules. Rules free you from chaos, free you from emotional swings, free you from disaster. Without rules, you're a slave to the market's every tick. With rules, you're the master of your own fate. There was a trader once, full of energy and confidence. He doubled his account in weeks. People admired him. But he never learned discipline. He believed his streak meant he couldn't lose. Then the market shifted. One bad trade became 3. 3 became 5. He held on, convinced it would turn. It didn't. His account vanished, and with it, his fire. Rule 29. Success without discipline is only borrowed. The market will take it back, plus interest. The only way to keep what you earn is to build rules stronger than your impulses. Rule 30. The market punishes arrogance faster than ignorance. Ignorance can be educated. Arrogance must be broken. Every time I thought I was bigger than the market, it humbled me. Sometimes with a slap, sometimes with a hammer. The traders who survive are not the cockiest, they're the humblest. Humility isn't weakness. It's armor. It reminds you the market owes you nothing. That's how you stay alive. Rule 31. Keep your powder dry. Cash is a position. Many traders forget this. They think if they're not in the market, they're wasting time. No. Cash is patience made visible. It gives you strength to strike when the moment is right. It gives you options when others are trapped. I've made some of my greatest profits simply because I had the courage to wait while others were trapped in losing trades. Rule 32. Never average down in a losing trade. That is not courage, it's suicide. If the market tells you you're wrong, believe it. Adding more only digs your grave deeper. I learned this young, and it saved me countless times. When you're wrong, you cut. You don't double. Rule 33. Protect your confidence like treasure. Confidence is oxygen for a trader. Without it, you suffocate. Every reckless mistake, every oversized loss, drains that oxygen. And when your confidence dies, hesitation takes over, making you miss the very trades that could save you. That's why I protected my mind as much as my capital. A small loss hurts your account, but a broken spirit ends your career. Rule 34. There's no shame in stepping aside. Some seasons of the market are poison. Choppy ranges, fake breakouts, wild news swings. The best decision is sometimes to stay out. The crowd calls it cowardice. I call it wisdom. The market is always there tomorrow. Your capital may not be if you insist on fighting today. Rule 35. The hardest battle isn't with the market, it's with yourself. Every chart you study, every price you read, is filtered through your mind. If your mind is clouded with fear, greed, or anger, you'll twist reality to match your emotions. You'll see what you want, not what is. That's why trading is really self-mastery. The tape only reveals the truth when the trader himself is honest enough to see it. There was a day when I sat watching the tape, and it felt like the market was daring me to act. Every flicker seemed to whisper, "Come on, take a trade. Don't just sit there." I nearly gave in. Then I remembered. My edge doesn't live in impulse. It lives in clarity. I stepped back, walked outside, cleared my head. That day I didn't place a single trade, and that restraint saved me thousands. Rule 36. Restraint is a trade too. Doing nothing when there's nothing to do is one of the hardest skills a trader can learn. But it's also one of the most profitable. Rule 37. Write your rules when you're calm. Follow them when you're not. In the heat of the moment, your brain will lie. It will tell you that this time is different, that you can bend the rules. That's why you don't decide in the moment. You decide in advance. When the mind is clear, then you follow that plan with iron will when emotions rise. Rule 38. The crowd is loudest at the top and bottom. When prices roar upward, you'll hear endless voices saying it will never end. At the bottom, the same voices scream that the world is finished. Those are the moments I leaned hardest against the crowd. The crowd screams loudest when they're most wrong. Rule 39. Your greatest edge is survival. Most traders are so eager to win big that they forget the first rule is to not be eliminated. I lived long enough to catch extraordinary opportunities simply because I survived the ordinary disasters. Survival is underrated because it feels unglamorous, but it's the foundation of fortune. Rule 40. The market is a mirror. Every trade you place shows you something about yourself. Your fears, your impatience, your greed. The market reflects it all, without mercy. You can't hide from it. That's why trading is not just about making money. It's about confronting yourself, seeing your weaknesses, and choosing to grow. Rule 41. Winners add to winners, not losers. This principle changed my career. When the market confirmed I was right, I pressed the advantage. I pyramid into strength, not weakness. Adding to losing trades was like trying to lift a sinking ship. Adding to winning trades was like catching the wind in my sails. Rule 42. Simplicity outlasts complexity. I used to chase fancy methods, elaborate systems. But the longer I traded, the more I stripped things down. Price, volume, trend, that's all I needed. Complexity makes you clever. Simplicity makes you rich. Rule 43. Protect your energy like you protect your capital. Markets are endless. Opportunities never stop. But your energy does. Burn yourself out, and you'll make mistakes, lose discipline, and spiral into ruin. I learned to rest, to step away, to guard my energy so I could face the market with clarity. Because the market doesn't just take your money, it will take your mind, your health, your spirit, if you let it. I've given you rule after rule, but let me tell you something deeper. These rules are not just about trading, they're about life. Every chart I studied, every loss I endured, every fortune I built, it all taught me the same truth. Discipline creates freedom, patience creates profit, and humility creates survival. Rule 44. Treat trading as a lifelong apprenticeship. The market is the greatest teacher you'll ever meet, but it is ruthless. It will charge you tuition in losses, in time, in pain. But if you stay humble enough to keep learning, it will also reward you with wisdom that no classroom, no book, no lecture can provide. Rule 45. Legacy matters more than any single trade. The world remembers not your last trade, but the lessons you leave behind. My fortune came and went more than once, but what endures are the principles, the timeless truths about human behavior, psychology, and discipline. Those are worth more than any account balance. Rule 46. Master yourself and the market will follow. Every external success begins with internal mastery. If you conquer fear, greed, and ego, the market has no weapon left against you. But if you let those forces rule you, even the best strategy will fail. In my career, I faced ruin, despair, and the weight of mistakes that nearly crushed me. Yet I rose again, not because the market was kind, but because I learned to master myself. That's the truth most traders never face. The hardest charts are the ones inside your own head. And so I leave you with this. The market is not your enemy, nor your savior. It is your mirror. It shows you who you are, in every moment. If you want to grow wealthy, first grow wise. If you want to conquer the market, first conquer yourself. Because in the end, it was never about beating Wall Street. It was about becoming the kind of person who couldn't be beaten. This is Jesse Livermore reminding you. The real trade is not in the ticker, it's in you.